racecourse from sheer excess of powers. John Maynard Keynes struck a similar note in his obituary, describing a boyish enthusiasm and a lack of constraint in Ramsey's thinking, laughter, and relationships. His bulky Johnsonian frame, his spontaneous gurgling laugh, the simplicity of his feelings and reactions, half alarming sometimes, and occasionally almost cruel in their directness and literalness, his honesty of mind and heart, his modesty, and the amazing, easy efficiency of the intellectual machine which ground away behind his wide temples and broad, smiling face. My subtitle and aim derives from these observations of Schumpeter and Keynes. I aim to articulate the quality of mind and heart possessed by this extraordinary young man, possessed of a sheer excess of powers. The mind. As Schumpeter said, Ramsey was very much a product of Cambridge. It was a particularly luminous period for that university. During the 3 decades of Ramsey's life, Cambridge was home, off and on, to the philosophers Bertrand Russell, G. E. Moore, and Ludwig Wittgenstein, the economists J. M. Keynes, Arthur Pigou, and Piero Sraffa, and the mathematicians G. H. Hardy and J. E. Littlewood. Ramsey came into substantial contact with them all. But although Ramsey was very much a product of his time and place, he was one of those rare minds whose ideas seemed to bound over the thinking of his contemporaries, launching the discussion into a future that only he could glimpse. He has attracted an almost mythical status in all the disciplines he touched. One must keep in mind what early death can do to a reputation. It can amplify promise and project greatness which, had death not intervened, might have been compromised by later disappointment. But even when we account for that, Ramsey's genius is clear. He is perhaps most widely known for his trailblazing work on choice under conditions of uncertainty. His paper, Truth and Probability, solved the problem of how to measure degrees of belief, and then provided a logic of partial belief and a model of subjected expected utility. These results underpin contemporary economics and Bayesian statistics, as well as much of psychology, artificial intelligence, and other social and physical sciences. Truth and Probability was not published in Ramsey's lifetime, as he was in the middle of expanding on it by writing a book with the same title when he died. In economics proper, Ramsey published 2 papers in Keynes's Economic Journal, one on optimum taxation and one on optimal savings. Each has become a classic, and each has launched a branch of economics and a sizable handful of Nobel Prize-winning ideas. He identified very modern problems and solutions to them, setting agendas that are still being pursued a century later. His workhorse model, now modified and known as the Ramsey-Cass-Koopmans model, is still a feature of most graduate course textbooks, and his name in economics also lives on in Ramsey pricing, Ramsey's problem, the Keynes-Ramsey rule, and more. In philosophy, he made advances in logic, foundations of mathematics, philosophy of science, truth theory, philosophy of language, and decision theory. Donald Davidson, a leading philosopher of the 20th century in 1999, coined the term the Ramsey effect, the phenomenon of finding out that your exciting and apparently original philosophical discovery had been already presented, and presented more elegantly by Frank Ramsey. In addition to this wonderful catch-all label, philosophy, like economics, has named specific innovations and approaches after Ramsey. Ramsey sentences, the Ramsey test for conditionals, Ramsification, Ramseyan humility, and more. In pure mathematics, we have a fruitful branch of combinatorics and graph theory. His discovery here was quite literally an aside. He had been working on the Entscheidungsproblem that the German mathematician David Hilbert had set in 1928. It asked whether there was a way of deciding whether or not any particular sentence in a formal system is valid or true. Ramsey solved a special case of the problem, pushed its general expression to the limit, and saw that limit clearly. Shortly after his death, there would be great excitement when Kurt Gödel and then Alan Turing showed the limit to be hard and fast, and the problem to be unsolvable. But a theorem that Ramsey had proven along the way in his contribution, an important mathematical truth now called Ramsey's theorem, showed that in apparently disordered systems